In a city built on fame, fortune, and fragile secrets, one woman shattered the silence, sending shockwaves through the world of hip-hop. When everyone thought the storm had passed, Tiny Harris returned with a vengeance. She dropped a video no one saw coming, a single upload, a single click, and the carefully constructed world of Atlanta's hip-hop royalty began to crumble. What started as a quiet life behind closed doors quickly escalated into a public spectacle that would test loyalties, friendships, and the illusions of forever. The clip allegedly showing T and Shekinah Anderson together didn't just break the internet, it broke hearts, dismantled trust, and exposed the fragility of what people thought could never fall apart. Within hours, social feeds erupted. Hashtags ignited. Fans, friends, and even casual observers were torn between outrage and disbelief, wondering whether this was the calculated revenge of a woman scorned or the honest confession of someone who had carried too many secrets for too long. Because in the harsh glare of the spotlight, truth is never whispered. It is weaponized. They called her Mrs. Paris, the heartbeat of Atlanta's most famous couple. Tiny Harris wasn't merely another celebrity wife, she was a woman who helped build an empire, a figure who stood beside her husband through every tour, every rumor, every tabloid storm that sought to unravel their carefully curated public image. For years, she played the role perfectly, the loyal partner, the quiet fighter, the woman who always smiled for the cameras, even when her eyes told a different story behind the gloss of magazine covers and music video lights. Beneath the smiles and posed photos, there were whispers. Faint at first, then growing louder, about fractures no one wanted to see. Industry insiders began to notice a change. Tiny had grown distant. Friends whispered that she was tired of pretending, exhausted by the charade of perfection, and somewhere between fame and betrayal, she stopped defending a love that no longer defended her. T, her husband, was everywhere. Studio sessions that lasted all night, late-night parties, public appearances that kept him constantly in the spotlight, but rarely home. Every missed call, every unexplained absence added another crack to what had once looked like an unbreakable foundation. Meanwhile, Shekinah Anderson, the best friend who had been like a sister, was always there, comforting Tiny on camera, defending her off it, sharing laughter, secrets, and long nights filled with whispered worries. It was during one of these nights that a spark first flickered, an exchange, a glance, a moment that didn't feel like friendship. Tiny brushed it off at first, convincing herself that the industry thrived on rumors and gossip, and she had lived long enough to understand how quickly lies could spread. But this time, the air around her felt heavy, watching, waiting. The tabloids had developed a taste for chaos, and chaos was hungry. The first public sign came in the form of a blurry photo leaked online, Shekinah leaving the studio where T had been recording until dawn. The caption read, "Only Atlanta's best-kept secret." Tiny's team immediately denied everything. She herself called it manipulation. T remained silent. In that silence, the world sensed confession, and the public began to form its own narrative. Weeks turned into months, and the Harris household grew cold, almost like a mansion haunted by unspoken truths. Tiny stopped posting pictures, the smiles vanished from her social media feeds, fans noticed, blogs speculated. Something was dying, maybe love, maybe patience, maybe both. The internet could feel it, smell it, and soon everyone was part of the tension that permeated the city. But Tiny was far from weak. She had been underestimated before, by critics, by record labels, even by the man she had once loved. What no one realized was that every silent moment was a calculated move. Every tear shed in private was a promise that one day she would tell her story in her own way. And that day came like lightning. Late one night, Tiny Harris's official account uploaded a new video. The thumbnail was black. The caption was cryptic. "The truth always finds its way home." Within seconds, timelines exploded. Viewers expected a song, perhaps a statement about her divorce, maybe even a message of reconciliation. What they got instead was 29 seconds of footage that would freeze the entertainment industry in disbelief. 2 silhouettes, 1 room, familiar voices, grainy video quality, yet the implication was unmistakable. It didn't take long for fans to connect the dots. Within minutes, hashtags like Tiny Speaks and Atlanta Exposed were trending across every platform. Supporters called her brave. Critics called her vindictive. But one thing was clear: Tiny had dropped the bombshell herself. The media went into overdrive. Talk shows replayed the clip on loop, dissecting every frame. Commentators debated motives. Was it revenge? Was it a setup? Or had she been holding on to this proof, waiting for the perfect moment to reclaim her narrative? Insiders whispered that Tiny had been sitting on this evidence for months, maybe even years, a digital ghost she had never intended to release until now. By sunrise, the Harris brand, once a symbol of hip-hop royalty, was in shambles. Endorsements froze, collaborations were postponed, publicists scrambled to spin statements that might contain the inferno. But it was too late. The world had already made up its mind, and through it all, Tiny remained silent. No interviews, no clarifications, just one post. You can't destroy what already burnt. The cryptic message sent shockwaves through her fan base. Was this closure, confession, or the beginning of something larger? Behind the scenes, lawyers moved swiftly. Court filings confirmed what many had suspected for months. Tiny's divorce from T had been finalized quietly, days before the video surfaced. Coincidence or careful strategy? The public didn't know, but Tiny did. Because when a woman who once sang about love decides to sing about truth, the world listens differently. That night, Atlanta didn't sleep. Paparazzi camped outside her gated home, news vans lined the block. Inside, Tiny sat alone, scrolling through the chaos she had unleashed. 2 names, T and Shaq, echoed through 1,000 group chats, 1,000 timelines, 1,000 whispered calls. The leak lasted